Okay, guys, so now we're going to begin the third part of the Berimbolo system. So if you made it this far, you've made it through madness. So as you learned in the other parts of the series, all the leg positionings get us to the same spot. Everything is the same. Just the leg positionings, the wedges vary, right? Everything has built up to this point. The concepts remain the same. Weight on the front leg, weight on the back leg, climbing family activated, knee off the chest, knee to the chest. We're able to do twister hook. We're able to angle the hips all the same ways as the first part of the Berimbolo system, where you have all these new cool wedges and hooks and all these crazy things that we added in. And they're all so efficient, and I've used all of them in competition, you know. Now we're ready to add an application of when the person's pulling your leg in. This is so common in Jiu-Jitsu when the person's pulling your leg in. And we're also going to add an application in Berimbolo itself. When we could use the knee wedge, when we could use the shin wedge, when we could use the Mikey hook, the crab ride wedge, all these different wedges and hooks we're going to add into this series. And that is why this is so cool how we built it up to this point. You know, everything that I've built on, the pass box, the knees on the chest, the knees away from the chest, is so applicable in all spots in Jiu-Jitsu, you know. And these concepts are so broad, as you're seeing, that you'll be able to use them from guard, top, everywhere. And every guard that we do, we can even use Berimbolo and the crab ride and the leg drag and all of these. Accomplishing, bringing the knee to the chest, spine manipulation, removing the knee from the chest, all the wedges, hooks, they grab your leg, climbing, coming on top. All of these things led us to this point. So now I'm ready to teach you the more advanced things. The craziness is going to get more and more, but now it should be simple because I explained it all so deeply that it's going to be simple now, you know. And like I said in the second part of the Berimbolo DVD, like I said in the first part, like I say in all my DVDs, I'm on the BJJ Fanatics Facebook page now answering questions. I'm on my Instagram answering questions. I'm on Reddit now. Unfortunately, no, I'm kidding. It's just people are a little wild there. But I like it now, you know. I'm getting used to that now. I'm there answering questions, helping people, you know. I say this in every DVD, but I've won all the titles I wanted to in Jiu-Jitsu. Now, winning worlds in these titles doesn't really give me any feeling anymore. What gives me feeling, which gives me a purpose, is helping people. And that's my goal with these DVDs. I want you guys to learn the most that you can. That's my goal with my approach with teaching, you know. I really want you guys not to mimic me. I say this every DVD. And I want it to stick out in your head when you're learning. Don't mimic me. You're not allowed. You're not allowed to mimic me at any time in this DVD. I want you to ask, why are you doing this? What's going on? Why are you doing this? Because we have to have an answer why we're doing this. Every position we do is an answer to their reaction. We never force anything. And that is why we have this so systematic approach. You understand? So that is what we're doing in this. We get to our position. We use our hook in a way, or our wedge, or any foot placement to achieve the same goal, like I said in the second part of the system. And that is what we're doing in this DVD. The person pulling our leg in, like I said in the second part of the DVD, if our knee line is in, we cannot achieve the back. For Berimbolo, crab ride, leg drag mastery, we need to remove our knee line from their body. Once our knee line is removed, we can take the back. So let's just explain this again, because I always think it's important. Just get my leg in, like go to half guard and tap on me. No, the other way. Invert, no, reverse half guard. So just bring this hook in. This hook in.
Like this?
In.
Oh,
Here.
sorry.
If I'm in her back, if I'm on her back like this, I'm here. Just hold my leg, please, and keep my knee in.
Okay.
How can I take her back with my leg in? You see? I can't. The only way I can is, now come up please, and let me take out my leg.
Okay.
The only way I can is if my knee line is out. So, this whole series, I'm teaching you how to perfect eliminating your knee line. An application of leg locks, which will be the fourth part of the Berimbolo system you will learn in the future. This is so important, how we place our bodies, how we use our bodies to eliminate our knee. Once our knee is eliminated, we follow our rules of basic Berimbolo skills of mastery. Connecting my hips to my opponent's hips, getting my head above my opponent's head, climbing family activated, all the hip grips, everything activated. We're using all these same concepts, and we're finally ready to use all these different hooks to do the same thing that we learned previously. I'm so excited to help you guys again. It's an honor for me to be teaching you guys this, and I'm so thankful and grateful for you guys for giving me the opportunity to let me teach you guys this. Like I always say, this is such amazing material also. I wish I had this when I was coming up so bad. Like the top level jiu-jitsu people, private lesson, they probably charge $400, $500, right? So let's just say 300.
If they even do a private lesson.
If they do it. So let's just say 300. Let's just say 300. This DVD has over 10 hours of private lessons on it, right? This would be 10 privates for sure. That would be like over $3,000. This is $197, I think. So it's such a bargain, this method of DVDs. And you guys are so lucky you have this new way of learning and this material now that's out. This makes it so much easier to learn. But now we're going to do this with Berimbolo. I want you guys to master Berimbolo, where when you're doing these positions, there's no questions what's happening. I want you to watch Berimbolo, watch all the best people do Berimbolo, and now you'll understand what's going on. Why they're doing this, what's happening. After this DVD, you should be able to do that. You should be able to see everything and see it clear like someone playing single leg X, right? So I'm excited for you guys to start this. Again, I'm here for you guys every step of the way. I can't wait for you guys to begin, and let's do this together. So I just explained to you all the different various hooks that we could use when I'm doing crab ride, when I'm doing leg drags, when I'm doing Berimbolo, right? But what I didn't go over in deep detail yet is one of the most biggest reasons why I use crab ride, why I use all these different things. And it's because the opponent is going to pull my leg inside their legs to defend when I'm attacking the Berimbolo. Because I need to get my hips in front of her hips. But if she could get one of my legs inside of her legs, getting my knee line, getting my whole leg inside, that will stop me from being able to get to her back. And this is one of the most common, probably the most common reaction of people when you're competing, when you're training, that they're going to pull your leg inside to 50-50. They're going to pull your leg inside to attack a submission, attack your feet, attack a knee bar. So what I'm going to start explaining now is we're going to go into a different part of this series, and that's going to be when the opponent pulls my leg inside their legs. And basically, we're going to use these crab ride positions. We're going to use the leg drag position, and you're going to learn another type of hooking position, the knee wedge. And you're going to learn how to remove your knee when they do these positions, and how it actually benefits us when they start putting their arms in to pull the leg in. Because the second our knee line's out and while they're pulling, what does that enable us to do? Just like you learned earlier, every time they start pulling your leg in, their arms are activated. Every time their arms are activated, that enables us now to climb. And whenever we're able to climb, we're able to get to the back, because once we get climbing grips, we're able to get our head above their head, connect our hips. The only thing that would stop us from climbing is if my knee line stays inside her legs. So all these different hooks are going to basically teach us how to take our knee line out and how to get to the back. Now in future series, I'm going to explain in deeper detail how to defend leg locks with this type of positioning. And it's the same exact thing. It teaches you how to remove your knee line out of these situations. Because for any leg lock, the pressure needs their knee line in. When your foot is in, then you can take your knee line out. Then once your knee line's out, you're able to climb and start attacking the back. But this is going to help you so much, and it's so important, the positioning of your body when you're doing these positions, because the person's going to be pulling as hard as they can to keep your knee in. And you're going to have to use your whole body to remove your knee. And based on your body positioning, based on your grips, based on your feet positioning, is what's going to enable us to remove our knee line. So what we're going to learn is, like I have in the past, I always group things into two worlds. One world versus the other world. So what we're going to learn is there's two worlds to pulling my leg in when I'm in this position. There's going to be one world where her foot's on my hip, and then there's going to be another world where she brings her foot inside my leg, the same hook that I'm doing, okay? And I'm going to give you different answers for that too. So the two worlds are like this. I'm setting up the leg jar like we did before. I set it up, I get here. My foot's on her hip. The first world is she's going to put her foot on my hip, like this. Because she wants to make some sort of distance on my body. And this is what's going to help her pull my leg in to her body, right? Because she has a hook like this. Basically like a single leg X hook. Then another world when she's here is she's going to, instead of her foot being here, she's going to be hooking my knee. The same way I'm hooking her knee. Okay? That's the only two leg positionings she could do in this scenario. And I'm going to give you answers for both. Both have a little different concepts for them based on the angle of her hip, because this one, she's able to keep her hip like this, and she's hooking my knee. This one, I'm able to move my knee more, but there's going to be a lot of different concepts here that I'm going to explain to you guys, but I just wanted to group everything into these two worlds. And then another thing I'm going to have you guys think about is her hips being closed versus her hips being open. Okay, and we're going to learn the differences between those two after. But right now, you're going to just learn when she's pulling her leg in, the foot on the hip world versus the hooking the knee world. And that's what's going to tell us exactly how to respond correctly to each position she gives us, okay? So this and this. I'm in double toe. I'm here. I start going to the leg jar. She hooks her foot on the hip, right? Or then come back. And then the other one. I'm here. I go to the leg jar. She hooks my knee, okay? And this is what's going to show us how to react and respond. Okay? Okay, so I just explained how there's two worlds of her leg positioning. Either her foot on my hip or hooking my knee, like with her foot inside my knee, right? So the next thing I'm going to explain is what's actually happening when they're pulling my leg in. And again, it's going to be two different worlds. Basically, like before. Again, you're going to see me constantly grouping things into this world or this world. That's how I like to group things, and it makes it so much easier for me to decide what to do because I can instantly know which they are doing, okay? So there's two worlds with this position when she's pulling my legs in. She's either going to be using her arms to pull my leg in, like completely with her arms. And many people do this. Many people do this. Or she's going to commit her hips, lifting her hips up to pulling my leg in as well. And you're going to have an answer for each. But basically the concept is going to be if she's using her arms, I'm going to be using my arms and I'm going to be pushing. I'm going to be pushing to take out my leg. When she's using her hips, I'm going to be going on my shoulder. I'm going to use my hips against her hips. And then I'm going to push. So basically, I'm doing exactly what she's doing, but I'm doing it exactly the same way. She uses her hips, I use my hips. She uses her arms, I use my arms. So I'm going to explain. I'm going to go over after all the different grips that we'll do when we're in this position, right? I'm going to go over all the different knee positionings with this outside leg like I explained before. There's going to be a shin wedge, there's going to be a knee wedge, there's going to be the crab ride positions, there's going to be many different things. Opening her legs, closing her legs. There's so many different concepts. But basically, when she's here, one of the ways she's going to do this position, she's going to just use her upper body. And I'm here. She's going to pull my leg in. Notice how when she's pulling my leg in, it's all on her upper body here. And whenever she's using her upper body, I could use my upper body against hers to push. Now I want you to add your hips in, please. So now what's going to happen, let me just get this grip and either hook my knee or here. Now she's using her hips. Notice, I can't push her knees now, right? Because she's using her hips. So all her weight's in her hips. So I'm going to have to use my hips to push her knees here. You see? So it's a very simple concept, yet so important when you're doing this, because if you try to, when she's pulling, if I try to use my hips, I don't need to. I can use my arms. when she's using her hips, if I just try to push, I won't be able to because she's using her hips. So hips versus arms, it's so important. And when we're doing each chapter in the future sections, you're going to learn how to use each different like knee positioning versus that scenario. And it will all make perfect sense because you realize that one is with her arms, one's with her hips. And then you'll start seeing her switching back and forth. She'll start using her hips, you'll adjust it correctly, then she'll switch to your arms, and then you have to adjust that again using your arms. So it's going to be a battle of going back and forth. But that's why it's so important you actually recognize what is happening, why we're doing this, and what we're going to do. Okay? So now that I explained to you what is happening now, how the person's pulling our leg in, placing our knee line inside of their body, what is our objective now? Our objective is, like I stated before, removing our knee line from their body. Because every time our knee line is out of their body, we're able to use our hooks again, just like before. The crab ride hooks, the leg drag hooks, the knee wedge hook we're going to learn after. But the first type of world we're going to be in is when the person's hips are closed. When their hips are closed, I'm going to do something that I call the shin wedge. And basically, I place my shin behind her legs, and this is what's going to enable me to remove my knee from the line of her body. So I'm able to remove my knee line from her body. And then once I remove my knee line, you're going to see all the attacks are open again. Except I have an advantage this time. Because her arms are occupied on my leg, pulling my leg in, and my knee is already out, I'm able to make all the hooks we did before, but both their arms are committed to your leg, which means, what does that mean? Like we learned before, I could climb. And all the climbing family stuff is going to come into play now. It's going to feel way easier to climb. The only thing is taking your knee out. That's all we have to focus on. And this is going to be the first way you learn how to take your knee out, using the shin wedge. So I'm going to show you basically what the shin wedge is, and just come this way a little more. Yeah, just lay down. So basically what a shin wedge is it's my shin going on the whole part of her leg. So take out my leg, please. Let go of this, please. Oh. The shin wedge is basically my shin like this on her leg, a straight bar. So remember how I showed you a leg drag first? I was like this, with my leg and my shin like this. And then I have full control of her legs like a bar. I'm able to close her hips like this, right? And then when she opened her hip, we went into a leg drag, right? So the shin wedge is going to be the same exact motion, but I'm using the other leg because this leg that I was using is inside her legs. And my knee line, look how my knee is inside her hips, right? So I can't use my leg like this right now because it's inside her legs. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my other leg the exact same way that I was using the shin before on her leg. And this is what's going to keep her hips stuck in one direction. You see? Once I get the shin wedge, I'm able to just push, and look how my knee comes out. And then once my knee is out, I'm able to hook again. Look what I have now. Near side crab hook. Look what I have now. Leg drag hook. Then I could do all our attacks that we just learned. You see? So every time my leg is in, I want to close her knees, and I can get the shin wedge. And when I get the shin wedge, what I'm doing is, my foot is here. I'm climbing my foot up as high as I can. Because the more I climb it up, the more pressure I have bringing her knees to her chest. The harder it is for her to keep my knee in. When she's keeping my knees in, look when she brings her legs out like this. The more her legs are out like this, the higher my knee is in her body, right? The more her knees are on her chest, look where my knee is. Now it just came out of her body, right? So every time she's pulling me in, look how her knees go. When I do this shin wedge, look what I'm doing to her knees. Like, stretch your knees. It stops her from bringing her knees down to the floor. So it's making her circle of keeping my knee in way less because she can't bring her knees down to keep my knee in. You see? So that's what I want you to see this position as. Every time we're doing this, we're making the space that she has to keep my knee in as little as possible. So we're using this to push her knees. Now my knee is already out, so make my leg deeper. We're using this to push her knees in a way that my knee is partially out. And then I'm going to show you multiple things to completely take my leg out. But that's what the initial shin wedge does. It keeps her knees to her chest, you see. Now when she stretches her legs, she can't keep my knee in. The circle of the knee line, like the box my knee is in, is so much less. And look how my leg is coming out more, you see? So I think it's so important you understand when we're doing these positions, all the positions you're going to learn, how every time the person's legs are stretched, my knee is way deeper in her legs, you see? But the second I bring her knees to her chest, my knee just came out a lot more, you see? So that's going to be such an important concept that you guys are going to learn in this series in this world of the person pulling the leg in, how to bring their knees to their chest, how to use my other leg in the same way, like this, the same way you were doing the leg jack stuff before, right? You're just doing it with the opposite leg. And it's the same exact concepts. And it's keeping her knees on her chest. It's helping us back away, and it's helping us take our knee out. And once our knee is out, like I said before, all the hooks that you learned before, the leg jack hook, the crab ride hook, all of them, the inverted crab ride hook, the inverted leg jack hook, all of them are going to be into play, okay? So I wanted you guys to first understand what's happening when we're doing this, why my knee is in, and what we're going to be doing to make that circle that my knee is in as small as possible. And that's what's going to enable us to get to our next positions and do all the back takes we just learned previously. Okay, so now that I explained to you what we're doing with the shin wedge, I'm going to show you the first world of this position. And it's going to be my opponent just simply pulling my leg in, and her foot's going to be on my hip. That's going to, once we see, okay, she's not using her hips, she's using her arms, and she's pulling in my leg, and her foot's on my hip. Now we were able to group it into the correct group. So then now I know what I have to do. So I explained before, when they're using their arms, I'm going to use my arms and body to push her knees to her chest, right? So that's what we're going to do now, and you're going to see how it makes sense, okay? So we're going to be here. I'm going to be doing the position. I get the leg heave, her weight's on her butt. I take the leg up. I get to the leg drag. Now she puts her foot on my hip. So now what's going to happen is I'm going to go for the leg drag, but she's going to be pulling my leg in, using her arms on my leg like so. Notice her hips are down right now. All my foot is in is with her arms. And because she's just using her arms, her knees are compromised. You see how she has no strength? Every time she uses her arms as hard as she can, because she's pulling hard right now, her knees she can't control. So all we're going to do now is we're going to do the introduction of the shin wedge. We're going to place my foot right under her leg like so. When I do this, I'm going to keep my leg joint grip. I'm going to push the body out. So notice how my knee is like this. Let's change sides. Yes, this way, yeah. So she's pulling in. I hook my leg like this. Notice how I'm putting my foot as a de la Riva on her leg. I have my hand like this. I'm going to push her knee to her chest. I'm going to now, so she's pulling my leg in. I'm going to put my elbow under. I'm going to push her knee to her chest. Now I'm going to push down her leg. I'm going to stretch my shin. I'm going to stretch my shin. Look where I just ended up. My knee is completely out now. You see, before my knee was in. Her foot was on my hip. Now when I hook her knee and I push, look what happened. My knee is out. Because my knee is out, all she has is my foot in. So now, look where I end up. I have the crab ride hook again from the near crab ride series, right? I'm back in the initial position as before. So all I have to do now is I grab the collar, I remove her knee from her chest, I come up. And now look where I am. A basic crab ride pass. Look, her elbow is either in the box, the passing box, right? The strike zone passing box, or her elbow's out. And then I can pass the guard. I'm going to show if I cannot break that grip where I'm going to go, but this time I was able to break the grip. If she doesn't let go of the grip, it's even better for me because I'm going to be able to do other things, okay? But again, we're here. I get to the grip. She puts her foot on my hip. She's pulling my leg in. So first my foot is on her hip, right? I'm going to remove my foot, inside foot to the bottom leg like this. I'm going to place my shin behind both her legs like so, to bring my hips in, to push her leg away. Now my knee is out. Look how my knee is all out now. So my knee was in. When I bring this knee to her chest, now look where my knee goes. My knee is out. The second my knee is out, I can grab the collar again. I could hook her knee. Now I'm in the crab ride pass. In the pass zone. Look at the pass zone. I can pass the guard now. Change sides. So the person you're drilling with, the reaction's going to be, you tell them, just pull my leg in just using your arms. And you're going to notice how weak their legs are when they're just using their arms to pull your leg in. Okay? That's what's going to start teaching you how to feel what they're doing. Because this position's a lot on feel. You're going to have to start feeling, okay, they're using their arms. And that's what's going to tell you, okay, now I have to react this way. Okay, so that's so important. I'm here. I set up the leg joint. She pulls my leg in. She steps on my hip. She ends up here. So look, my foot's on her body like so. I'm going to remove it, hooking her leg like this. I'm going to place my shin behind both her legs. Now I'm going to push. Bringing her knees to her chest. Now my foot is going to keep hooking her knee. I'm going to grab the collar like so. I'm going to put my foot on her leg like this. And now I'm ending up in the crab ride pass just like before. Pass the guard. Here. So she's here. I first see, I adjust it. Foot's on the hip, right? That's the world one. Okay, foot on hip world. Legs are like this. So now what am I going to do? She's using her arms. Using her arm world. Hips down. So now I can bring her hips this way. I put my shin behind her body. I make a grip like so. I push her knee to her chest. I move my body in. Removing my knee from her hips. Now I can hook the knee, the near side crab ride hook. I use the knee on the side of her hip. I grab the collar, my elbow, and now I can pass her guard. Notice, the more I walk this direction, the more her hips are going this way. And the more her hips are this way, the less she's able to use her hips. And the more my knee is coming out, you see? And now when I get here, I'm just putting the side of my knee on her hip, just like before with all the stuff we learned before. Now I can pass the guard. So she's here, she's pulling. I make a grip, I make a hip grip, so I can even push her into her chest just to begin. I get a hip grip. Now I use my shin. Look how my knee is up now. Now I'm gonna just place my knee on the side of her body. Look at my crab ride hook now. I grab the collar, I fit into the pass box. She's pulling. The more she pulls, the more I push her knees. As I'm walking, look how her knees are going more and more to her chest. Now I can take my leg out, knee to her body like so. Grab the collar, pass the guard. Okay guys, so now what we're going to do is we're going to be in the same world of this pulling in leg series. She's going to be in the world of pulling her with her arms. She's going to have her foot on my hip. Same exact world as before. And as you saw before, when she's using her arms, I'm able to manipulate her hips, bringing her hips to her, and I'm using my arms and my shin wedge to do this time. And then after I do this, I end up exactly where we were with the crab ride stuff before. We ended up in a near side crab ride pass, right? Where I was able to close her hip and pass. Again, notice what I just said, close her hip. This time, she's gonna keep my leg. I'm not going to be able to get rid of her grip because she's going to do something else. What is she going to do? She's going to open her forward hip. And remember, in the Berimbolo rules, in all the family things we did with the grips and everything, what happens when they open their hip? Now we can take the back, right? So now we're going to see how to take the back when I can't eliminate the grip on her arm. And why I'm teaching you it like this. I want you guys to keep putting together the stuff you learned before because it's literally all in this. That's why I waited until the end to show pulling the leg in. I wanted to wait first, and I wanted you to first learn all the things with my feet. Then now you'll put it together like, oh, this is so easy. Now because I was able to take my knee out, I'm in the hooking position. Now I'm going to try to do the pass. She opens her hip. Opens hip. Weight, forward hip. Regular Berimbolo, crab ride, all of them. When the weight goes to the forward hip, we can roll and take the back, right? So now you guys are going to see. Now it gets really fun because once you know how to take out your knee, all the cool back takes happen, right? So we're here. I get the leg drag grip. She grabs my leg. She pulls me in. She puts her foot on my hip. I remove this foot, right? What's my objective here again? Think about the objective. Objective. Knee is inside her body. Goal. Remove knee line from body. Here, I'm going to apply the shin wedge. I'm going to place my shin on her leg like so. I'm going to pull. I'm going to move my body this way, putting her knees to her body. Look at my knee. Already out of her knee line. I'm safe now. My knee is out, right? Now the only thing that's in her are my feet. And again, what's she doing? Her arms are on my foot. That means that she has no frames with her arms to push me. I'm going to place the side of my knee on her hip, just like before, in the near crab ride family, right? And then when I go here, I'm trying to close her knee, but I'm not able to break this grip. I feel like she's keeping my knee strong. You see, I feel like my foot's still stuck. So I'm closing my knee. All I'm going to do now is, I have two options here. One, if she's a little more on her side, I'll go to the back of the head. Two, if she's more facing me, I'll grab the collar. I'll use my elbow on her knee. All I'm going to do now is roll this way. And when I roll, I'm going to stretch her. I'm going to throw my hook in, and I'm going to attack the back. And notice, look how tight and deep I get when I attack the back this time. Why is that? Because she's holding my leg. Her arms are occupied like this. So it's really easy for us to climb to the back now because her arms are occupied. So what you're going to start noticing is when the person pulls your legs in, it actually helps you take the back. Once you have a deep understanding of how to remove your knee line. That's why once you learn this, leg locks, foot locks, all these different things are going to become so easy for you to defend because you'll be always positionally correct with your knee line. And then you'll be able to take people's backs when they do that, you know? So we're here. Get the leg drag. She puts her foot on my hip. We go here. I hook her leg. I apply the shin wedge. My shin behind her body, my knee, and I'm hooking with a De La Riva. Just like the leg drag before, right? I move my body. I take my knee out, my knee out. Objective complete, right? Knee line out, safe. Next thing. Placing the side of my knee on her body using my crab ride hook. I start trying to close her knee, but her knee is open. Look, she's opening her knee. All her weight's on the forward hip. Because her weight's on the forward hip, I roll. After I roll, I'm just going to stretch her body to the floor. Look how light she is when I do this. Now I can throw my hook in and I can apply the seatbelt. But notice which side I ended on for the seatbelt. So I could simply step on the floor. They come back this way. If she brings her body this way, I'll come up. I'll put weight forward, and then I'll bring her back to this way. Yeah. She steps on my hip. I move my body. I move my body. I move my body.
knees out. I put the knee on the side of her body, I go here. This time I see her back of her head is exposed. I grab the back of the head. So she's turning a little more, I get the back of the head. Now look, I roll. Now I end up in the same spot, look. I throw the hook in. I underhook, I step on the floor. Seatbelt. Again, all the climbing family grips we're doing right now, right? Back of the head, collar, they're all there because her arms are exposed. Applying the shin wedge, connecting, now I can connect the shin wedge, boom. She's using her arms, hips down, we're in the pulling family. She's using her arms. Now that means I use my arms. I bring her knees to her chest, right? I angle my body in a way that my knee comes out more and more. This angle on her side is so important. Now look, the side of my knee goes to her leg, like so. Here. Once I connect, I have the near side crab ride hook. Now we're in the near side crab ride hook series that you learned earlier in the instructional. I grab the collar, I come up, I'm able to close her knee, I can pass. She's opening her hip a little bit, yes. So now look, her back's on the floor. I can't grab the back of the head, her back's on the floor, right? I grab the collar. I roll. Come back. This time she's on her side a little more. She's on her side a little more. Back of the head is exposed. I can still grab the collar, no problem. But I'm going to give you guys two options, and then you guys can decide which one you want to do here. Both are climbing family grips, and both are completely fine. Now I got the back of the head. I roll. I end up here. I get to this spot here. I throw my hook in. I just keep hooking her leg like this. My knee is out, right? There's zero chance she could attack a leg lock or my legs or 50-50 here because my knee is out. I step on the floor, take the back. Okay. I place my shin right on her leg like this. Now I bring her knees to her chest. Connect here. Side of my knee on her leg. Come up. Again, the partner's reaction. Foot on my hip, pulling the leg in. No hips up at all, okay? You're going to learn after how to use your hips. But I'm going to keep going over and over how the person has to react. That's going to teach you and your partner this position better, okay? Okay guys, so now what we're going to go into next is we're going to be doing the same exact concept and positioning, except we're going to be entering the second world that I explained before. This time my opponent's hips are going to be up. And why this is relevant to us, and why this is significant to us, when my opponent's hips are up, the mechanisms I used before to bring her hips to her chest using my arms will not be applicable in this sequence. So what am I going to have to do? Because I can't use my arms and she's using her hips, I'm going to show you how I'm going to use my hips against her hips. And once I start using my hips against her hips, I can use my arms again, remove my knee line, remove my knee from the circle where my knee is in, and end up right back into the near side crab ride family. Okay, so it's very important that you understand that when she's using her hips, I'm going to use my hips. I am not going to force her knees to her chest. I'm not going to force at all. I'm not going to be able to, first of all, because I'm physically not strong enough. And second of all, we never want to force positions. We want to go with what they give us.
She's using our hips, we're using our hips. She's using her arms, we use our arms. Okay, so I'm gonna explain what's happening now. Again, we're gonna be in the group of her foot being on my hip, like so. She's not going to be hooking, just her foot is on my hip. I'm going to end up here, same as before. But before, remember her weight was on her arms. It was easy for me to move her knees to her chest, like so, right? This time, she's going to be using her hips, like so. I'm just gonna have this here. She's gonna be using her hips like so. Notice, when she's using her hips, I can't bring her knee to her chest, right? So, she's using her hips, I can't bring her knee to her chest. So what am I going to do? I'm going to use my hips. But how am I going to use my hips? What I'm going to do is I'm going to lift this up, I'm going to make a hip grip. And while she's using her hips, I'm going to go on my shoulder. And how am I going to do that? I'm going to make my hip grip. And just like Berimbolo, just like before, I'm going to turn my thumb palm up. Why am I going palm up? Every time I go palm up, I activate these muscles in my arm, which make me able to go on my shoulder without using any flexibility at all. Okay, that's what you're going to see. This requires zero flexibility. It just requires you turning your hand. So I turn my hand, so now I activate the muscles in my arm. I lift up my elbow, and what I'm going to do is I go on my side like so. Notice, my shin is on the line of her knee like so. Now look, I'm going to put pressure on my hip forward. Look what I'm going to do. I'm on my shoulder, right? And I'm comfortable on my shoulder because I turned my palm. I'm going to bring my hips forward using the shin wedge. Once I use the shin wedge to bring my hips forward, now I can use my arm to push my knee out. Look what just happened. My knee's out again. Isn't this the exact spot we were before when she was just using her arms? You see? So when she's pulling my leg in, she's using her hips, right? All I do is I use my shin wedge, I climb it up to try to get my shin wedge as high as I can to her knee. I'm deleheaving her back knee. Again, to keep her legs in a line on my body, right? I'm keeping this grip. I'm going to try to push. She's going to push against me. That's going to give me momentum to go on my shoulder like this. She's putting pressure. I use my knee. I use my knee. Look how my knee's coming out. Stay strong. I use my knee. Now look when I fall. Look how my knee is out again. Now I'm going to bring the side of my knee to her hip like so. I'm going to grab her collar. Look how I can post on my elbow now, no problem. There's a passing box, right? Here. If I can bring her hip down, I can pass, right? If I cannot keep her hip down, she's opening, I roll. Exactly like before. And I can take the back. But you're going to see how different this is, that she's using her hips this time. And once you use your hips, you're going to feel how weak her body feels again. So she's here. She's pulling my leg, foot's on my hip. She's using her hips this time. Notice, when she's using her hips, it's gonna feel strong for me to push her knees to her chest. It's going to be hard because her hips are activated. So what I do is I use my hips against her hips. I grab the hip grip, I turn my thumb. What I want you guys to watch from this angle is this back foot. You're gonna see it climb to over here because my shin is going to go high up once I go on my shoulder. So I go on my shoulder, I'm going to climb my foot. Now I'm in the perfect spot. So now I use your hips. Now I use my hips. You can't use your hips anymore, right?
No.
What am I doing? When I use my hips, I'm shutting off her hips. She's lifting her hips up. When I use my hips, we're colliding hips. And this is what shuts off her hips. Now she's back to just using her arms. And when she uses her arms, what was the rule before? When they're using their arms, we use our arms, we push their knees to their chest, and we can remove our knee line, right? That's all we're doing right now. And it's so simple, yet so complex if you don't understand this concept, you see? So we're here, she's using her hips. Use your hips. So you're here, I climb my foot, I go on my shoulder. Look what I do. I use my hips against her hips. Notice where her knees are. Her knees are on her chest now. Now, she's just using her arms again. I use my arm, and I take out my knee. The second I take out my knee, I put the side of my knee on her hip. I grab the collar, I come up. Near side crab ride family, right? I could pass here. She opens, I can take the back. I'm gonna pass right now. I'm gonna pass the guard, and we're gonna reset. So we're here. I'm here. She steps, she's using her hips. I wanna push her knees to her chest, she's strong.
I remember that I place my hand under this leg. You see, so I keep this pressure here. I can't use my arms to take out my knee right now. So I go on my side. I bring my knee up. I bring my knee up. Now it's her hips against mine. Use your hips. I use my hips. Now you see how it shuts off her hips right now? She cannot use her hips when I do this. You see, and all I'm doing is turning my thumb with my hip grip here. I'm pushing this here, and now I'm using my hip. The second I use my hips, I'm pushing. So I'm like this first. I bring my hips up to push. Look how I use my knees to push. Now I can push her leg. And look how my knee comes out when I fall. Now that my knee is out, what does that mean? My foot is applicable. I put the side of my knee that was in before on the side of her body. I grab the collar. I start coming up here. She opened her hip, right? So now I can take the back. So again, if you didn't know these concepts, it would be so difficult what I'm saying to do. But because we're doing it correctly in this exact spot, it's so simple. It's the exact reaction you're supposed to do when we're doing this. So we're here. I hook the bottom hook here. Evaluate the situation, right? Observation. She's using her hips right now, right? So she's using her hips, my mind triggers. Hips, I have to use my hips. Her foot's on my hip, okay, it's not hooking my knee. Okay, so I'm in this world. Both of these worlds are adjust, I know where I am. So now I'm going to go here. She's using her hips, I can't bring her knees to her chest. So that means I'm going to go on my side of my body. I'm going to climb my foot from here to here. I'm going to use my shin on both her knees to push her knees to her chest. Once I push both her knees to her chest, now her hips are off again. I'm actually shutting her hips off by bringing my hips up. Hips versus hips. I shut her hips off, bringing her knees to her chest. Now her weight's all on her arms. And like I said before, arms versus arms. I always am able to take my knee out. So arms, now I'm here. I use my knee. I push her leg. Now I'm able to use my arm. Now I'm using my arm. Look where my knee goes. The side of my knee is on her body. I hook. I grab the collar. I come up. I could pass. Or I could take the back here. If I try going here, she's heavy. I come back up. And I go here. Look at the pass box. The pass box is free. Her arm is exposed. I can pass the guard here. She turns to 4, no problem. I can pass the guard here. She's using her hips. I go hips versus hips. I climb my foot up. I push. I push. I push. Now her knees are on her chest. It's just her arms versus my arms. I push. I clear my knee. I clear. I clear. Come up. Back of the head. No, I went back of the head because it was free, right? Now I stretch. So she's using her hips. I go hips versus hips. The second my foot gets to the top of this knee is when her hip shuts off. That's what you feel, right?
Yeah.
Step on my hip again. The second I get my foot to that top of her leg,
Yeah, you take this leg off the hip also.
now I get to here.
Okay, guys, so we're going to get into now the inside hook world. Remember I said that there were two worlds, the foot on the hip or when she hooks my inside knee. Now, this is honestly a way better reaction from the opponent. Like, it's a way more technical reaction because when they're hooking your knee, they can attack a leg drag. They can attack a foot lock. They can attack like you are because you're hooking their knee, right? So I'm going to explain you this basic concept, and it's going to make this position so much easier for you to deal with when the person hooks the inside of your knee, and then you'll know how to address it every time. And again, it's going to be grouped into two worlds. Again, like it's always like that in jiu-jitsu. It's always going to be you could do this, they defend this way, then you could do this. One defense is going to enable an offense of the other side. Okay, so it's one or the other, and you're going to see this everywhere. Okay. So I'm going to keep explaining to you guys why I keep grouping things into two classes, because that's how my mind is thinking about this when I'm training, when I'm competing. I'm thinking, okay, they're doing this. This is activated. That means that this is free. This is activated. That means this is free. Okay, so we're going to be here. Let's actually face this way. Yes. We're going to be here, and we're going to be in this spot. My opponent now, instead of before, when her foot was on the hip, she's going to place her foot behind my knee like so. Okay? And we're going to be here. So now, what I want you guys to see is, this foot on the inside of my leg is going to make it a little more difficult for me to do the attacks you just learned. But I'm going to show you a simple concept to remove this from it. Okay? The first one being is, I'm going to place my foot. The more you feel the strength in her, this is going to be the rule. The more strength you feel she's using in her foot flexing on your leg, the weaker her knee will be. The more strength she uses with her knee pinching on my leg, the weaker her foot will be. Okay? So we're going to be thinking about these two things every time we're in this spot. I'm going to feel her foot is flexing and notice how open her knee is. So what am I going to do? I'm going to put my foot, instead of on the shin wedge, I'm going to put my foot on the inside of her knee, and I'm going to push down her leg. Look how I just cleared her hook. The second I do this, I'm going to hook under her leg again, and we're back in the shin wedge. Okay, now go back. So the first one, her foot is strong. For her to make her foot strong, she has to externally rotate her hip, right? That's what's enabling her foot, her dorsiflex in her foot to be strong. That's why it's easy for us to place our foot on her leg, because there's space here too, right? So I could push and I could remove the foot on my hip. What's going to happen now is she's going to internally rotate her hip. Now, when she does this, notice I can't put my foot on her leg now, right? Because her knee is up. But what can I do? When she brings her hip, like we learned in De La Riva, come over here in De La Riva. Just don't pull, yeah. This way. Like we learned in De La Riva. When I bring her knee in, flex your foot, what does that do to her foot? Her foot's very weak, right? When her knee is open, her foot's strong. So I'll be able to push down, right? When her knee is in, her foot is weak, right? Because in De La Riva, when I torque the knee, it's easy to bring down the foot. So now when we're in this spot here, let's go back over here. When I'm in this spot over here, and she's turning her knee in, she's internally rotating her hip, right? What does that compromise? That compromises the dorsiflex in her foot. So instead of me trying to put my foot on her knee, I put my foot on her foot and I remove it. Now that I remove the foot on her knee, she has the option of stepping on my hip or just trying to put it back again. But the second I remove her foot, I place my shin back into the shin wedge. Now we're back in the identical spot before, right? She's pulling my leg in. We're in this spot, and then she has her two worlds of hips up versus arms, right? And this is exactly where we are. So the concept again, she's hooking my leg, right? Look at her knee. It's open. Her hip is externally rotated, making her dorsiflex strong. I'm not going to fight her foot here. Make your foot strong, please. I can't fight her foot here. Look, her foot's strong, right? But the second I put my foot on her leg, I make her hip even more externally rotated, removing the foot from my knee. Now I hook, and I'm in the shin wedge. Now she's here. She's turned. Look at her knee. Now her knee
now her hip is internally rotated. That affects the dorsiflex in her foot. So now I can't put my foot on her leg, right? I'm just going to place this foot, look. It's going to go right on the inside of her leg like this to remove her leg. Bring your knee in. Try to flex your foot strong. It's very hard for her to flex her foot strong there. You see, because it's weak, her foot, once her knee is like this, her foot is weak. When her knee is open, her foot is strong. You see how strong her foot is right now? But her knee could open more. It can open more. And now it's easy for me to remove the foot. So now when you were here, before probably you would have been like pushing, you would have not known where to go. I see her knee is open. I see her foot is strong. We go to her leg. Now she's turning her knee in. Now her knee is in, her hip is internally rotated, affecting the dorsiflex in her foot. Now her foot is weak. Now what am I going to do here? We just eliminated the problem, right? We just eliminated the inside hook world. The inside hooking of my knee world, right? What does that put us back in? That puts us back in the foot on the hip world. That puts us back in everything we just learned before. So now back to the shin wedge, right? We're here. Right now she's just using her arms, right? Because she's just using her arms, I angle my body, I place my knee on her body. Back to the pass here. Now I took out her hip, but now she turns into me. She starts using her knees away from me. She starts putting her knees away from me. So now she's using her hips. I can't just use my arms now, right? So what does that mean? She's using her hips. What does that mean? I use my hips. I turn my thumb, palm up. Now I go hips versus hips. I push out. Look where I am again. Back into my knee out. Back into the near crab ride series. Back into the back teeth here. So this side. You see, jiu-jitsu is really this simple. If we break it down like this, jiu-jitsu is this simple. You just have to have an answer to every position and understand why they're doing a certain position. Okay, so we're here. Look at this. I'm going to now explain. We're going to, again, like I've said in the beginning of this DVD, observation, right? Knee is in. That means she can pinch her leg. She's strong like this, right? What is she compromised when she's like this?
Oh, the foot?
Yes, the foot. The foot is compromised when her knees are in, right? I can remove the foot. So we're here, I remove the foot. Back to the shin wedge family. Shin wedge family, push. Here, knee line out, because she's using her arms, right? I'm in the shin wedge family. She's using her hips now. Using her hips, I can't bring her knee to her chest, right? I have the grip here. I go on my side, I climb up, I get my shin behind her body like this. I get my knee out. Now my knee's here. Now my knee's here. I'm turning. Look at the back is exposed. Again. We're here. So her knee is open, right? Observation again. Knee open. We adjust the knee. I'm not going to even waste time and try to peel her foot. I could feel her foot strong. Her knee is open. I just put my foot on her knee. Back to square one. Shin wedge. Knee closed. Back to shin wedge. You see? It's so simple. Yet, a lot of people would not know what to do there, and they would push the knee, they would push the ankle. But once you realize the hip and the strength in the ankle is compromised when they do one or the other, it's so simple. Okay, so one more time. Knee is closed. Ankle. Knee is open. I climb my foot. Look. So I just put my foot under my knee. And I walk my foot. I walk my foot and I just stretch. Look how easy I'm able to take it out. And now I end up in this spot here. So you just learned how to do the near crab ride positions, right? Now what we're going to learn is when I'm able to switch from the shin wedge to the leg drag world. And I'm going to show you first why I'm doing this, and then I'm going to show you multiple variations. But basically, it's going to be like we learned before in berimbolo, hips down versus hips up. Every time I could stack my opponent's hips up, I'm able to bring my hook to the leg drag side. Every time I can't stack my opponent's hips up, I'm able to go to the near crab ride family. Okay, so now you're going to see how I'm able to get to the leg drag family. Okay, so we're going to be here. And we're going to be here. If you go hook the inside, so now I can start adding this in when they do it so they can see. Yep. So notice, again, she's hooking. She's here. Her knee is in, right? That means that she's internally rotating her hip, compromising the dorsiflex in her foot. I'm going to simply place my foot on her foot like so, removing the foot from my leg. I'm going to now go into the shin wedge. I'm going to end up here. And now, notice how her hips are on the floor. Every time her hips are on the floor, we're able to go into the near crab ride, right? But she's going to be using her hips now. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring my knee, the knee that I already took out, I'm going to bring it to her chest. And why am I doing this? I'm going to bring both knees pushing this leg because I'm going to be able to stack her. And when I stack her here, look how her hip is off the floor. Every time her hip is off the floor, I can remove my leg and place it into the leg drag family world now. Look how I have the leg drag hook again. And now that I have the leg drag hook, I'm not going to remove right now. I'm able to keep her legs both on this straight line in the double leg drag. The double leg drag is when my knee is in front of her leg and I'm hooking her back leg like so. Okay. Now that I have this double leg drag, I have a bar literally keeping both her knees together. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to come forward, I'm going to grab the collar, and I'm going to come up in this bar. And notice, look at this huge passing space we just created. I grab the hip, anything I want here, and I pass the guard. Okay, but this new concept that we just explained, with the hips coming up, I'm able to get back to the leg drag hook. Is so important for you guys to understand. You see, first her hips are down, we went to the near crab ride hook. But then I'm using the near crab ride hook, my knees to bring her hips up. Then I can remove my leg from this side, and then I place in the leg drag hook. Then that brings us back to the leg drag world of all the positions we learned from the leg drag world. You see how everything we showed in this series is coming back now to life? You see, like, that's why I showed it exactly how I did, because now everything is coming together. And now you're going to see all the positions coming back that we learned before. And you're going to see them combining together. And it's just going to make perfect sense now why you're doing it. And you're going to have all these new reasons to do it. And it's just so awesome. So we're here. I'm going to be in the leg drag here. She's going to hook my knee again. Her knee. Now open your knee because before you closed your knee. Yeah. Now her hip is externally rotated. That means that that means that her foot is strong. That means her knee is weak. So I'm going to place my foot on her knee, remove. Hey guys, so now what we're going to do is, I'm going to show you now another variation from the double leg drag I like to do. And a lot of the times when I'm competing or training, I use the double leg drag to bait a back take. Because every time you close their knees together, they're going to try to open their hips once they can't open their knees. And that's going to enable me to roll and go to the back on the other side. Because again, her forward hip is going to open. What does that mean in the berimbolo world? I can take the back. If I'm able to keep her knees closed, that means that her weight's on the back leg. What does that mean? I could sweep. I could come up. Right? Always the same rules from the beginning of the berimbolo series. Again, over and over and over. And you're just seeing it again and again and again, right? So we're going to do the same setup. We're going to end up, she's going to be using her hips. She's going to be turning into me a little bit. I'm going to stack her. I'm going to get to the leg drag hook, back to the leg drag hook family. We're going to keep with the double leg pull. We're going to keep with the double leg drag. I'm going to start attempting to come up. She's going to turn her hips into me. So now it's going to enable me to take her back. Okay, so we're going to be here. We're going to end up here. I'm going to have you guys keep seeing her doing the different hooks, just so you see my feet placement every time. Her knee is in, right? So now that means her foot's weak. I remove it. I go to the shin wedge, right? I place my foot here. I'm flexing my leg, right? Just like before. I move my body. I start going here to try to take out my knee. I feel like I can't take out my knee. I feel like the angle of my knee is awkward, right? Because I want to turn my knee. But I feel like it's awkward for me to turn my knee. I feel like she's turning into me. The angle is weird. I come up. I go knee on knee. I stack her hip. I place my foot behind her leg like so. ending up in the double leg leg drag, right? Now what's going to happen? I'm going to grab the collar to start coming up. I'm going to feel her hip start turning into me, like so. You see? So again, the second I feel her hip turn into me, this forward hip is activated. Every time the forward hip's activated, we can take the back. How am I going to take the back? What I'm going to do is, wait, before I take the back, what is she doing right now?
I have my
She's
shoulder
crunching.
above the ground.
She's crunching and she's committing her arms to my leg. Again, every time she commits her arms to my leg, the climbing family is accessible, right? All the climbing grips we learned from the Berimbolo series in the beginning are accessible. So this just makes it so much easier for me to take her back because I don't have to worry about her arms. I could climb to her neck. And my knee is free. So I'm in the perfect position right now. So she turned into me a little bit. Forward hip activated. What am I gonna do now? I'm gonna, just like all the other things, I'm going to roll here. I'm going to end up in this position here. Notice, this is the inverted leg drag hook, but the other leg is in at the same time. So I'm going to bring her body down, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring my foot to the bottom leg into the inverted crab right hook. Here, the back crab on the hook, look. Now all I'm going to do is, I can grab the back of the head, I can grab the hips, I just pull her down, and I take her back. Again, we're here. We end up in this spot. So she's here, she's hooking. Knee is in, right? Ankle weak. Boom. I hook her leg. I move her body. She starts bringing her hip into me. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my hips. And how am I going to do that? I'm going to go on the side, I'm going to turn my thumb, get my hips up, knee to knee, stacking her. I get to the leg drag. I feel like I keep her knee in. I stay in the double leg drag family. Double leg drag. I start grabbing the collar to come up. She turns into me again. Turning into me. Forward hip activated. Back take worked, right? Back hip activated, pass. Forward hip activated, time to take the back. I roll. Now I end up in the inverted leg drag hook. I'm going to bring her hip up. When I bring her hip up, now I'm going to remove my inverted leg drag hook. I'm going to go to the crab right hook here. The back crab right hook, the inverted crab right hook, it's all the same. We just hook the bottom leg, now we can stretch. Notice I have the collar right now. I can have the back of the head here, no problem also. We're just all climbing family grips, right? Any grips I want from the climbing family. I stretch, I throw my hook in, and now I take it. Again. Foot's on the hip. Fine, perfect. We just hook. Here. So I'm trying to take my knee out to go here. I feel like I can't turn my knee that direction. I go knee to knee. I get to the leg drag hook. Double leg drag right now. I start going here to pass because her weight's on the back hip. Now she turns into me. Now I'm in the front hip. I roll. I end up with the inverted leg drag hook. I lift her hip up, placing my foot to the bottom leg, like so. Now I stretch her. Throw my hook in. I take the back. Here. So her knee is open now. Foot strong, knee open. Boom. Try to bring my knee like this. She turns, so the angle of the knee is off. I cannot turn my knee in. I go knee on knee, stacking her. Put my foot in, double leg drag. Here, post on my foot, trying to come up. She turns into me. Forward hip activated. I roll, I lift up her body. When I get here, I can remove the collar and go to the back of the head or climb like this if I want. It does not matter. The only thing that matters is my connection to my body and connecting to her hips. So turn your hip into me. Yeah, I just want them to keep seeing the knee angle that I can't. Now I can go here. Stack, drag. Here, you turn into me.
I'm kind of helping you to go that way, right?
You help me the whole time when you turn your hips in. Like I said before, I'm going to keep explaining how everything that we learned in the previous sections are going to apply now, right? So why I started with double leg drag. If you remember when I taught you the leg drag, how did I originally teach you the leg drag? In the double leg drag form. Because I teach you the connection of the knee and the leg as a bar, keeping the legs together, right? And then what we went into is after this, the connection of the ASIS to my ankle in a line like a bar as well, right? So now I'm going to show you when I do the leg drag. I prefer when I do this scenario to always go to the double leg drag first. Why do I do that? Because it's going to make my opponent open their hips. When I try to keep my knee connected, when they open their hip, now that perfectly places my ASIS on the hip, on their leg, the same way as before in the leg drag. So I go to this spot first as an intermediate, like in the middle step. When I feel them open, I connect the ASIS. And then we're able to go into the leg drag world, where I'm no longer with both legs on my knee and leg here. I have it back here with my leg drag hook. And then it gives us all the options from before, right? So let's get into it. I'm going to be here. I'm going to get the grip. She's going to be hooking. Her foot's on my hip. Okay, oh, whatever you want. Doesn't matter. Your foot's here. The only thing that matters is why I'm doing this. If I feel her hip is all the way down and I'm able to internally rotate my hip in, I will not go to the leg drag because I don't need to. I could come up and I'm here, or I could roll into a berimbolo. But when I feel I'm trying to turn my hip internally, placing my knee on her leg, she moves her body. Now I can't internally rotate my hip, right? What does that mean? Now I'm going to use my hips and I'm going to go on my shoulder. Using my knee this direction now. So before I was doing my knee like this. Now I'm using my knee the other way. Now I can get to the leg drag hook. So you see I'm in the double leg drag right now, right? I'm going to keep my knee behind her leg, but she's going to open her knee here. And I can't get my knee back to that spot, right? So what am I going to do? I'm not going to force it. I'm going to let her open it. And the second I let her open it, I'm going to bring her leg to my ASIS here. And when I bring my leg to the ASIS, I'm going to bring my knee down. I'm going to stretch my leg, bringing my head right to her ribs, right here. Because if I stay far away, let go of the hands and frame. Now I have to deal with her elbow again in the passing box, right? So get the grip again. So I eliminate her elbow from the passing box. I get the collar. Now side foot, live knee. I come up. I end up in a leg drag. Again, the passing box is right here. I keep the belt, head on her legs, and I pass through her. Notice, everything we're doing, we're never forcing one thing. We're just going with whatever she gives us. That is how we do jiu-jitsu. We never force at all. I'm physically not strong enough to force. This is what will make it so easy to do these positions. You're going to double leg drag. You feel her open. I'm not going to force her leg to my knee. I'm going to go with it. I'm going to bait her to do this so then I can do the leg drag. You see? We're just going with what she gives us. So we're here. I get to the spot. She has the inside hook. Okay. Step one, observation. Evaluate the situation. She's hooking my foot here. Her knee is open. What does that mean? That means that her foot is strong, right? And her knee is weak. So what does that mean? I place my foot. I put my foot behind my knee. I walk it up. I take out her foot. Now I connect to the shin wedge. I connect to the shin wedge. I get here. My goal now, internally rotating my hip, placing my knee on her leg, right? I feel I can't do that because she turns into me a little bit. I can't turn my knee in, no problem. Now I'm going to go on my side. Turning my thumb with my hip grip. Knees to knees. Now I'm going to use my hip the other way. Up. Placing my foot in the leg drag hook. Into the double leg drag, right? I keep the knee behind. She takes her knee out. Like this. I'm trying to keep it. Look. I can't keep it now. All I'm going to do is stretch my leg, placing my knee down. Keeping my De La Riva foot on the leg drag hook strong. I'm going to stretch, connecting my ASIS to her hip, like so. Now what are we doing? Collar, side foot, live foot, knee. Head on her body, and now I can come up. Notice, she's holding my leg like this. I'm going to go right on her elbow in this scenario with my head and my shoulder. And now I can pass her guard. Again. She's hooking. Okay, knee open. What does that mean? I put my foot under my knee. I walk, I clear it. I put my knees, I get to this spot. Trying to turn my knee into her leg. She turns into me. I can't turn my knee in anymore, right? Now what do? Turn my thumb, palm up, activating the muscles in my arm. So I can go on my side, knees to knees. Instead of going down, now I'm going up to stack her hip. Placing my foot in the leg drag hook. Back to the leg drag hook. I keep my knees here, trying to go double leg drag. She opens her hip to defend this. Now I place her leg into my ASIS with the grip I have. Notice the bone on my hip is what's going into her leg. If I don't do this, I'm not going to have the perfect connection to her body. ASIS right into her leg here. I grab the collar. I keep my head on her ribs. Side foot, live. Now I come up. Keeping the connection at all times on the ASIS and her leg. And now I can pass her. She's closing her knee. That means her foot's weak. Here. I hook. Trying to go with my knee this way. She opens. I go here, knees to knees. Clear. I'm here. She opens. I leg drag. Opening her knee, no problem. Okay. So now I put my foot under my leg, like this. I clear. I try to put my knee to the side, she opens. Knees to knees, clear. Double leg drag. She opens her hip. I leg drag. I come up. Here. Okay. Go side, I can. You see, the second I do this, I come my hip forward, I lift up her hip, and then I push my hip into her leg. That's what gives me the power, the strength to get my arm now. Look how much stronger it is than just doing this. I do this, hip up, and I push my hip bone right into her leg. Now I drag the leg, then come up. That detail will change leg drags for you. It will make the leg drag so much stronger, connecting your hip bone to the leg. Here, okay, foot weak, boom. Here, I start turning my knee, I can't. Knees to knees, clear. Here. Here, I put my foot under my leg. I double heave on my leg. Clear. Here, I use my knee, she opens. Here, knees to knees, clear. Okay guys, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to flow a little bit, and I'm going to show you guys me flowing, doing these positions with the near crab ride family, the leg drag family, the double leg drag. You're going to see me doing some of the variations I showed previously. Now, I got to these spots, and I didn't show you multiple variations in this chapter. Why is that? Because I showed you all those variations in the previous chapters. I don't want to just go over every variation again. You guys will have to connect to this spot. I'm teaching you to get to this spot. Now you use the other chapter of the finishes to apply the finishes that I taught you, okay? So now I'm going to flow a little bit with the previous finishes, just so you guys could see it in action. And I want your minds, when you're seeing each sequence, not just to watch, I want you every second to be seeing what's happening. And I showed you literally every detail of every second of what's happening. So I want you guys to be able to put that together in your minds. And that's what's going to start making you have a deeper understanding of this. So watch me do it. Watch the grip exchanges. Watch how I evaluate each reaction she gives me. And watch how we're going to address each and how we're going to take that back. From the previous chapters, from the Berimbolo system we did before, and now, right? All of this builds up to this point. So if you got to this point after watching everything, I'm so proud of you guys. We're working hard, right? It's a very complicated series. Like, it's super complicated. To other people, this is probably another language. But right now, it's just building on it. And you see the simplicity of it. And anything that's complex is built with all simple things, right? And that's
how you master a complex system. The simplicity, building on it, building, and then it's one big complex chain.
So I'm just gonna ask you a question. So you want us to look when you're doing the moves, similar to when you see someone do a move and like an arm is if someone's leaving their arm out for an arm bar. So it's gonna help us reinforce our understanding of the different moves you showed earlier, right?
Exactly. But what's most important is how you guys are seeing every sequence. So even when you're watching this, if you need to, I would prefer I get to a spot, you pause, and you think in your mind, what just happened? You think of it. Then the next step, what just happened? What just happened? That's going to start teaching your mind to build on that. I'm teaching you positions, not to mimic. Please do not mimic me. What you're doing is you're learning these concepts so you could apply them. My whole goal with this, I'm literally showing you guys everything I do. I'm not hiding anything. My whole goal is for you guys to learn as much as you can to get your jiu-jitsu the best you can. Why I did this DVD is to make an impact on jiu-jitsu. I know that this is going to change your jiu-jitsu if you follow all the steps I said. Okay. So we're going to get into this sequence now, and I want you guys to slowly think in your mind what's happening. That's what's going to get you to the next level with this. And again, it is very complex. It's super complex. But you see the simplicity in each step. The simplicity builds. And that's how you'll master this system. Going with the simple details into one big complex system. Okay, so we're going to be here, and I'm going to flow. I'm going to do the sequence one time, and then I'm going to go back and say what just happened. Okay? So let's go. You're just going to give me a different reaction. I'm just going to flow. Okay. So we were here. Evaluate situation. Observation. She's stepping on my hip. So she's in the stepping on my hip world. There's two worlds, right? Stepping on the hip or hooking my knee. She's on the stepping on my hip world. I don't have to do anything now. I just have to apply the shin wedge. I went here. I started trying to put my knee to the side of her body. She turned into me a little bit. So then now her hips are activated. So I have to activate my hips as well. I use my hips, knees to knees. I take out my leg into the double leg drag I ended up. She opened again. Because she opened, I lift up her hip. I connect my ASIS to her body. I drag. I grab the collar. Side foot, live foot, knee. I came up. Another sequence. Okay, what happened? Here, she hooked my leg. Internally rotating her hip. What does that mean? Dorsiflex compromised. Removed. I go here, shin wedge activated. I'm lifting. I'm able to get my knee to her leg. Near side crab ride family. She kept her weight on the back leg. She doesn't open her hip. I'm able to keep her hips down. I passed her guard. Okay, so we're here. She hooked my leg. Her knee was open, right? That means that her foot's strong. Because her foot's strong, I hook my leg. I step on her leg, activating the shin wedge. I start trying to put my knee to the side. She turns into me. I go on my side, knees to knees, remove. Double leg drag. I felt her hip coming this way. I felt tension on her hip. So I grabbed the collar. I rolled. When I got here, I felt her open her hip. I start going to stack, but I feel like her leg was a little heavy. I switched to the twister up, and I took it back. Again, other sequence.
Another one?
Yeah.
So what just happened? She stepped on my hip. Foot on hip world. Hook, shin wedge, activated. She kept her hip this way. I was able to go here. She turned into me. I end up here. I end up here. Now I came up. Double leg drag pass. So I just wanted you guys to see just some sequences of me flowing here. And we're going to keep continuing in the series. We're going to keep getting into more deep, complex things. So if you're not 100% clear what's going on right now, please take your time. This is no rush. I'd rather you guys perfect the beginning concepts and then get to the more complex stuff later than just rush through everything and not have a deep understanding of anything we're doing, okay? So please, let's keep continuing. Take your time and let's keep working.